Good day. My name is Hermann Wittenberg, and I would like to tell you a little bit more about the English department at the University of the Western Cape. The focus of our department is literary studies. That is the study of fictions, poems, plays, novels, short stories written in English or in translation from all over the world. English is now the most dominant global language, also of creative expression. And we believe in the English department that the study of fiction, of creative work, is one of the best ways in which we can gain insight into contemporary society, into our history, and what makes us human beings. Besides literature, we also study film and performance, and we have a growing and highly successful creative writing program, both at honors level, undergraduate level, honors level, going all the way up to a PhD. And many of our students are now published writers. But instead of telling you about the department, let me rather let colleagues and students speak for themselves about their experience of studying English at the University of the Western Cape.
I'm Courtney Davids, and I'm a lecturer in the English department, and I teach across the undergrad as well as postgrad years. My interests are 19th century, 18th century literature, but also modernist texts, modernist poetry also especially. And I've been teaching in the English department for 6 years now. Oh my word, 6 years, yes. But I was also a student at UWC, so many years ago when I was, just a very young, 17. I came to UWC as a first year student, and English literature was one of my subjects. And in fact, it was the only subject that made sense to me at the time. The rest was philosophy and anthropology and history. Not that I'm knocking those disciplines, they're great. I came to enjoy them later. But English literature, that was my passion. And I think that it was probably rooted in, my love for reading. I'm sure that every one of us would be able to say that the reason why we would love to pursue English literature as a subject is it's rooted in our love for reading. And so mine began very early, and I'm not going to torture you with too many details, but when I was 5 already, it was an escape for me. It was a different world, to my reality, and I always just enjoyed delving into beautiful words on a page, And when I became a lecturer in the department, it was to be able to convey that love for words on a page and how just a sentence can transport one, completely into a different world, dream, journey, and it's always just been an exciting, never-ending love for literature for me.
Thank you. I think that reminds me of Rudyard Kipling's words, the author of the Jungle Book, which maybe many of our students know from primary school days. Rudyard Kipling said that words are the most powerful drug known to mankind. Forget about alcohol or things you smoke or whatever.
It's true.
Words are mind altering. They change you profoundly.
Yes, that's true.
Maybe share with us just what do you enjoy teaching in the English department at the moment? Maybe just give us some insights behind the scenes. What do you do, and what makes this so interesting and rewarding for you?
Well, it's the first thing that comes to mind is poetry. I love teaching poetry. It's just not just reading it, teach and it's been able to convey, the deeper meanings, because we don't just do, surface reading in English literature. We do close reading. And that's when words, language, the language behind those words, the silences even, within poetry, silence in a line, something that is not being said. That's when it becomes truly alive. And when one can convey that, when one shares that with students, whether it's, whatever space it is, or whether it's in a consultation, that is something truly powerful. When one can share those meanings in literature, and poetry does that. Poetry is and as well as literary, other literary texts. But for me, poetry just seems to be the one thing that students enjoy more than anything else. Although they'll say not always, some poetry seems to, just kind of shut them down. But otherwise, they do experience. You can see that light, I would say, that absolute light that comes on you, in their eyes, where they can engage with something that they can relate to and connect with.
Lovely. And yes, poetry is not just found in poems, right? Poetry is found everywhere, isn't that so?
Yes, music.
Hi everyone, I'm Dante Cox. So I studied at Camps Bay High School for 5 years up to matric, and then I've always had a keen interest in reading, language studies, and this is the reason why I decided to go to UWC to study English and language studies specifically. So the past 3 years have been the best years, I think, of my life at UWC. I can't imagine myself having went anywhere else, although, there were other options when I was in matric, but UWC certainly was the best option for me. I feel like I had a bit of everything. I've had my literature, I had my language, humanities and science. So I've had quite an all-rounder experience. It was a lot of fun learning things that are actually applicable in human life. The best thing that I found in studying the humanities was the ability to just pick things up out in the human world, and just be able to identify it. So if I did a story in the newspaper and it sounded like the story of Oedipus, I could just relate it, and that's something so profound to me and something I really appreciate. Okay, even like I did journalism as well. When I'm reading a newspaper article, I can immediately see what is this kind of paragraph, who's speaking, what kind of things are being said. So that's the thing. So humanities are, I think, the best thing that you could study as a grounding in life.
So my name is Nondu Mpoma, as you might have just heard. And I matriculated in 2013 from New Forest High in KZN, in Montclair. And when I was still in high school, when I was applying for university, I kind of was on an application frenzy. I applied to a bunch of places except for KZN, because I was like, I'm tired of KZN, I want to leave KZN. So I applied to Gauteng, and I applied to the Western Cape. And I was really like a maths, science and English buff in high school. So when I applied, everybody was telling me, do science, physics and all of that. And I applied for, like, when I went to other universities, I applied for your chemical engineering, and at Stellenbosch, I remember I applied for agriculture and food science. And at UWC, I was like, here I'm going to apply for something artistic, because I also did visual arts and I was just really good at it. And when I applied at UWC, I thought that they'd have a visual arts course. That was not true. So I applied for a BA at UWC. And when I did my final for matric, I didn't do so well in maths and science, surprisingly. And my family was on some, you should just go and rewrite. And I just wasn't feeling like going and rewriting. And I had done so well in the rest of my subjects. And I already had an acceptance to UWC, and nobody was speaking about UWC at my school. So I knew most people weren't going to UWC because it was just an unknown university in KZN. And I was like, okay, I'm going to this place that nobody knows. And yeah, I'm set on it. Yes. So next for me, it has just become academia. So right now I'm just trying to get through my proposal, and once I get that out of the way, then it's just trying to complete the PhD and start writing some articles, I guess, and yeah, try to find some like an appointment at a university. So that's what's next.
Okay, wow. So Carisha, tell me, what are you doing now since you're like 9 years ago doing your English 3?
So I actually tutored at UWC for a little bit in the EED course, and then after that I went, I had this passion for publishing and magazines. So I actually worked at Elle magazine, and after that I then jumped over to Associated Media Publishing, and I worked on amazing brands there like Cosmopolitan, SA, House and Leisure, and unfortunately now due to COVID, the company liquidated, and then a few of my colleagues and I just had these skills, and we had such a great team, and we've actually started our own little company. So we started a little digital agency where we're serving little startup companies. We've worked with some bigger brands, even bigger companies, servicing social media, websites, everything digital. So we called Aurora Online. Even though I'm not really in the field, academia field anymore, I still learn so much doing postgraduate research. Even though I'm in digital, there's so many opportunities where I have to research, and I go back to all of those techniques that I did when I was a student. So
wow. So no regrets doing English studies at university?
No, I miss it so much. I do miss being a student, and I don't have that much time to read now, but I still make time. Even though I'm busy, I still find the time to pick up a book and still read. I still have that passion and that energy for it. So I do miss it.
I then matriculated in 2011, and I decided to go and study at university. Unfortunately, my parents had saved enough. I am the first graduate in my family and the eldest sibling, so there was still some money for me to do that. And I wanted to go to UCT like the rest of my friends, but who studied accounting and who went into medicine. But UCT insisted I do maths again, and I hated maths. And since I wanted to pursue a BA, there was no need for that. Thankfully, there was UWC, which welcomed me, supported me, and I started my journey at UWC in 2012.
And looking back, looking back, any regrets studying at UWC? How was that as an experience?
I was going to get there. I was going to say that it's probably one of the best decisions I made to choose to come to UWC. Initially, I was a bit overwhelmed because it's not the environment I was familiar with. UWC was very diverse, and I grew up in a little bubble. So that was a good thing because I met friends and colleagues from different corners of the globe and of Cape Town. It's actually being exposed to UWC helps me in my job today, because if I hadn't become friends with people who grew up on the Cape Flats who couldn't come to classes sometimes because there was gang-related shooting in the area, I wouldn't have had an understanding of the policing needs at the ground level. And I currently work for the City of Cape Town in the Safety and Security Directorate, where I'm an advisor. And a lot of the work I do looks at assisting communities and residents with their safety requirements. So no regrets from UWC. It's what got me to where I am today, and I have only good memories at UWC. It's not only the level of education that I got there, but it's also the teachers, the lecturers, the tutors. I can take you through my journey since 2012 until 2020, if you like.
Well, just in summary, I mean, it's really fantastic to hear that. You graduated with a master's after doing honors at UWC. Is that correct? And then and tell me about your master's thesis, and maybe keep it try to explain it in ways that our grade 11 and 12 learners can understand.
Sure. So I pursued my master's in English literature, a master's full thesis, which is really just it's a big essay, about 40,000 words of essay, and I did it on an author whose books I really love. His name is Amitav Ghosh,